Hi y'all. So firstly, I got this new jacket at a thrift store the other day. It's got some zipper pockets, which is a nice touch. Feels good and safe. I don't know what it says. I didn't read it. There's a polar bear on the tag. Who doesn't love a polar bear? Anyway, it's comfy, fits well. I'm looking forward to when it gets colder so I can wear it outdoors. But yeah, tell me what y'all think. I don't know if you can, because of my lighting, it's more clear in person that it's blue, like a medium blue. Anywho's the topic of the video. I noticed that there's been a trending topic lately, which is this one. She's on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, um, and her name's Mina. Mina Dragonfruit. I hope it's Mina. That's how I picture it being pronounced. Sorry to you if not, Miss Dragonfruit. Anywho, so she's a spoken word poet, and she makes videos about just a lot of things, mostly like some political videos. Like here's one. I think I've seen this one. Muting that, called "The World Cup as if the world arrived on equal ground, as if it were fair, as if every nation stepped onto that pitch with the same chance, with the same preparation, with the same support. What a lie." Um, and I'm sure she makes good points for the rest of the video, but I think that is the gist of that one. So it's like some political videos talking about systems and establishments she disagrees with. I think there are some videos here of just her fighting against the hate she's been getting lately, because like I said, she's been a trending did I say that? I'm making this video because she's been a trending topic as of late, and I keep seeing a bunch of content about her, so I want to make a video about it because that's a thing I do now sometimes. So there are two videos in particular that I've seen people reference the most often, and they're both about school. So I'm gonna play those uh, for y'all here. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about this one first. I disagree entirely with this video. I really dislike how she is communicating the points she's trying to make, because the issue is almost everything she's saying here seems to kind of fall back on the teachers and blaming the teachers, and that's really shitty. I really hate to see that happen. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I was always a goody two shoes. I was a good kid throughout high school. I left off with a 4.0. And obviously, I don't think the school system's perfect, and I'm not going to spend too much time defending it, but never, even for a second, should your complaints about the school system fall back on teachers in general. Now, are there teachers that you're not going to like who are just objectively bad at their job? Of course, I didn't get along with all of my teachers, and some of my teachers did things that I just completely totally disagreed with, that everyone did. For I had a long-term substitute teacher in freshman year in my art class, and she was horrible at her job, hated all of us, it seems, as people. um, my complaint with that teacher is that so I was kind of one of the school's sort of unofficial acting translators. I would always help out any of my Spanish speaking friends whenever they asked. But this art teacher that I had, she would just swoop in, assume she knew everything, and speak to him in the most horrible broken Spanish I've ever heard. This was an old white lady, mind you. And he didn't understand her for anything. I had to repeat everything she was attempting to say back to him every single time. And I tried over and over to tell her, hey, I got it. I'm good. You can teach the lesson, and then I can just talk to him. But she would actively ignore that, and she would actually tell me to shut up. Um, Sorry, not literally. She didn't say the word shut up. She would say, stop talking. She would tell me to stop talking and that she was going to do it herself. So, yes, there are bad teachers, but if you're going to critique school, you should be critiquing the school system. You shouldn't be critiquing every teacher, because look at the specifics of what she's saying. It comes back, it's very sweeping statements. It comes back on just every teacher in general. And I disagree with that. Now, the critiques she's making of the school system, I wouldn't disagree with. I have plenty of problems. Like, I don't like everything being online either. Firstly, to say school isn't what it used to be suggests that there was some point in the past where everything was perfect or even better. But the thing is, we're making a critique of the system here, and the school system was flawed from the beginning. Because it should be used solely as a way of educating us. It should be specifically, the school system should specifically be a way to prepare us both for college and to have a career, and we should spend certainly more time than we do learning about skills that will be relevant once we move on from the school system. That's not to say that we don't, because you do have the option to. Most schools will offer an economics class. I took one my junior year, and they do go over the basics if you look for the right extracurriculars and take them. But anyways, another thing with the school system, from the beginning, the way it's been set up is it's never really been an individual thing, but different people are going to have different lives and are going to have different strengths and weaknesses. So it should be significantly more on an individual scale, and it should be about finding your own passion. And yes, the school system doesn't do that. But also, that's not entirely a bad thing, because in the world we live in now, there is a certain baseline amount of knowledge that we all need to have. Like, we all need to learn math. It would do us a world of good to all properly learn literary analysis. We have a core curriculum, and that is a good thing. If you want to critique the school system, again, it should be that everyone is treated the exact same when people aren't the exact same. And there are ways to go around circumventing that don't involve doing away with the concept of a core curriculum or gen ed. But, like, what's this is probably my least favorite line, and it's still called teaching. Here, maybe she wouldn't even disagree with me very hard on this, but it's really not made very clear in this video. I think if you're going to go against something as broad as school, you need to be abundantly clear that you're attacking the system that's been set up and not the teachers that are just trying their best and working within it. Also, does that sound like privilege to you? Yes. Still, yes, it is still a privilege. School is a privilege. You see this little quote in quotations here. That's correct. School is a privilege. If you are born in a place where you are able to receive an education, that is a privilege. Here's the thing: a lot of people who do go to in America, it's not like there aren't a lot of children going hungry and families in poverty. But what is that? That doesn't have anything to do with school. That's just because of the economic system in which we live that is really not built for everyone to succeed. We are forced to have to work ourselves to the bone simply to live. And no, that's not me being against working whatsoever. But the issue is we don't have any sort of we don't have a proper minimum wage or any sort of universal basic income, so people are not surviving, and that's inevitable. We live in a system that is not set up for all of us to properly survive, because The system is being set up by the rich who want to get richer, instead of by people who want to equitably take care of everybody and themselves. That's the issue, but school is still a privilege because there are people in the world living in places where they don't even have access to that, and they're doing fucking worse. We should be actually really worried about that. An education is a privilege. Does that mean everyone who goes to a school is themselves privileged? No. Is that a defense of that fact? Also, no. But you can't go and say that school isn't a privilege, which is the title of this video, by the way. So I disagree with this, or at the very least, I disagree with the way she's going about it. Um, well, this is a pretty emotional topic for me. I'm sure you guys can tell. Um, so yeah, I don't think necessarily that I fully entirely disagree with her, because again, my main problem is just the way she's going about it. I can't tell if she's attacking the system or if she's attacking teachers, because it kind of sort of seems like an attack on teachers, like the whole "and it's still called teaching" thing. They, like, teachers would agree with this, I'm sure, but again, I think there is a certain responsibility on the person speaking when you're critiquing something so important, that you need to be abundantly clear about the target of your critiques. You need to be very clear and precise. And also, it's bad to stop there. It's bad to stop just at the critiques, because if you make a critique of something this big and you're unclear about your target, um, and you don't offer a solution, then there are really only so many places we can go here. Like, you need to ask the question, okay, this is the case, so now what? Um, right, expecting to understand everything without being taught. I also just disagree with this because, um, again, the tone of this feels so much more like it's toward teachers, and I truly hate that. But also, I suppose I guess I had a uniquely good high school experience. I mean, it certainly wasn't the best. My school was infested with millipedes. It was it wasn't a great school. It was, I suppose, on the higher end nonetheless. But I loved most of my teachers. There were some of them I hated, but like, in this day and age, somebody who actually goes out of their way to pursue that as their career, they definitely mean it, and it's important to them. Um, and I have found that if you're proactive enough, and if you seek help, and if you go up to a teacher and you directly ask them, I don't understand this and I'm really struggling. I'm trying my best, but nonetheless, this is really hard for me right now. A teacher will do what they can to help you. Now, they don't always have all of the resources at their disposal to give you that you need, but again, that is not their fault. Um, and so I also don't like that there is a seeming abdication of responsibility present here, because I know, guys, it sucks, and I don't want to accept this particularly either, but there is expectations and responsibilities placed on you as a student that you do have to meet and you should meet. Um, if you feel this way, this isn't an invalid way to feel or anything, but if you feel this way, that you're being expected to understand everything, but you haven't adequately been taught, and you also feel like you're sick of having to Google everything, just please, at first, your first step after that should be to go to all of your teachers and tell them you're struggling and ask them for help. Because if it really matters to you to try to turn this around and begin to succeed, there are steps that you can take. And I'm not saying that that's an end all be all, because again, I agree that the school system's not perfect. It's pretty rife with abuse, and a lot of teachers are burnt out and overworked, and therefore might not be able to help you in the way that you need. Um, which, again, we need to be abundantly clear that we're blaming the system in which both ourselves and the teachers have been put. Because even though a teacher is in a position of authority over us within a classroom setting, um, that it kind of starts and ends there. They don't actually have all that much more power than us. They're certainly not a privileged class themselves, teachers. And I think a lot of the anger is directed towards them simply because they're the ones in front of us, but that's just not reasonable. And you look at the comments on this one. No privilege in being forced to do extremely hard work, struggling mentally in every way, and people making fun of you for being yourself. Um, even with this, it's a privilege to have the opportunity to go to a school and get an education. People making fun of you for being yourself, that fucking sucks. That happened to me too. Nobody likes it. I'm not defending it. That does not make school not a privilege, though. That just means that there are people around you who suck, and fuck them. We're like adults with no breaks and not getting paid. Again, firstly, not really, man. You can't say that if you're not an adult. Yeah, you don't know that. Also, adults with no breaks, that's what's differing you from adults of all things. And getting a good education is a privilege. School isn't. Okay, I'm getting mad. Oh, whoops, sorry. So yeah, I really, really strongly disagree with a lot of things about this. Um, all this said, I don't like hate this person. I feel like I'm being pretty mean here. This isn't anything against Mina Dragonfruit. You know, it's not like I know her. I really don't want to be like all mean and venomous. You know, I'm attacking the words and not anything about the person. So yeah, there's this one too. Um, so firstly, that feels extremely contrary to this video. These seem like completely opposite videos, and now I kind of have to wonder which one she actually believes. Is it the case that she feels she's not being taught at all and doesn't understand anything and tasks are just being thrown around willy-nilly? Or is it the case that she's wasting 5 out of 7 hours of her day because she already understands everything? You know, these are definitely two contradicting opinions that she's expressing here. Um, this one I will agree with, the whole presence with progress and silence with discipline thing. Those are unfortunately easy to confuse and yet very different. Silence in a classroom definitely isn't the same as being a disciplined person. You could easily just be a student who understands what the rules all are and does not desire to be punished for breaking them, but doesn't believe in them. And presence with progress, same deal. Just because you're there doesn't mean you're putting in effort or learning anything. But you know, you hear that, you know, you should be trying. Um, and I just completely, entirely disagree with the notion of that we stay 7 hours in school for something that could be learned in two. Um, uh, I don't think I could have learned in 2 hours what I had to learn in seven at school. You know, I'm mainly thinking back to calculus when I say that. I needed the time I got for that one, you know, and I happened to be an AP student. I took 4 APs, both my junior and senior year respectively, and one my sophomore year for 9 in total. Um, and I'm actually kind of grateful for the time I had. I wouldn't want I wouldn't have wanted to had a to have a 2 hour school day to learn everything I learned in AP Calc and AP Lit and AP Physics and blah blah blah. I think that would have actually been a bad thing. Um, my issue with this one is just how vague it is, because what is she saying that could be? Also, like we had, different classes. We had like 4 classes a day for an hour and 30 minutes each. I think it's quite typical of high schools to have A and B days. I've never heard of a high school that has 8 45-minute classes in a day. So I'm going to keep going with the A and B day thing, assuming we all agree on that one. But like they were different classes. So when she's saying they things that could be learnt in two, well, it was an hour and a half per class. Now, if you want to have a discussion about the incredible volume of homework that kids are given, and you want to say that you think we should be given time within school to do the work, and we're not given adequate time, and maybe the school curriculums, some of them are set up improperly. That's a fine conversation to have. Personally, I think 15 minutes should be shaved off of every class and given at the end of the day, such that we have an hour free to do whatever work we need to do. And even then, it wouldn't really circumvent that issue, but it would certainly make some progress towards it. Because again, 4 classes a day, hour and 30 minutes per class. Let's make it hour and 15-minute classes. Take the 15 minutes from each of the 4 classes and give all of us one last period. And the last period is free time to work. But even then, you have to use that time to actually work for it to take effect. And I'm not accusing Mina Dragonfruit here. Again, I don't know her. So it would be silly of me to make sweeping statements here. So I will say, people in general, a lot of people in school do have free time, adequate free time that they do not utilize. And then they go home and have more work to do than they would have. That's definitely a thing that happens. That's not an end all be all. That's not what is always the case. And I am disagreeing with Mina here. That does not mean I'm fully staunchly on the side of the school system. I'm not. Um, but this is more of a nuanced issue than either of these videos make it out to be. And these are also quite contradictory videos, and I don't understand that. Here, look at this. 10% learning, 60% proving our learning, 30% waste of time. It's just not true at all. It's definitely not 10% learning, for one thing. That would be more accurate to say 60% learning and 10% proving our learning. But again, if you feel that it's 30% a waste of time, then use that 30% to do some of the work you've been given. Or even this person saying they're starting online school and they finish all their schoolwork in 2 to 4 hours. Yeah, it's totally reasonable that you finish the schoolwork in 2 to 4 hours, but you also need to be taught it. I obviously can't verify what this person is saying. I don't know if they have a source for this claim or there's been studies on how a child's brain works. I also don't know if that applies to somebody high school age, that it can only learn properly for 3 hours a day. This comment, I think it's kind of a little too vague for me to go off of anything or fully substantively argue against it. But Willikers, I disagree. So that's my issue with her school videos. Those are the ones I've seen people talk about the most, disagree with the most. She certainly has more, and let's see here. Oh, sorry. So yeah, this one I entirely agree with. I have absolutely um, nothing to nothing to critique, nothing to add. I've like made a video on this topic myself, so um, yeah, like I said, it's not like she's, it's not like I can just go after every single thing she says. I disagree with her thoughts on school, or if nothing else, the way she expresses them. Um, this one, 100% agree with. Have a whole video on it myself. I love immigrants. I actually want more of them. I don't think we got enough. I think we can get our numbers up. I think we can improve on that one. Um, so I like this video. Alrighty. Okay. I've used a lot of my. I can only record 30 minutes at a time with the software I'm using, so let me start over. Righty, back to it. Next, I am going to have to address this at some point, and there's really no way I can address this without being really mean about it. Um, she's annoying. she's definitely. I think that's also a big thing I've been seeing people say. It's annoying. I'm not. That's not a big point against her. I don't think I'm. You know, you can watch my videos and you can say some of the ways I express things can definitely get on your nerves, but I can't argue against it. When I see people say it, it is. I don't like the way she's expressing a lot of this. Like, I think the issue is it's also not fully new. The stuff she's saying, it's good that she's expressing all of it, but you know, I'm not sure how much of this she really came up with herself, which, like, it mostly seems like a rewording of a lot of things. You can definitely tell she's going off of a script. A lot of people are accusing her of using AI. I'm not going to make any statements about that because I don't know. I don't know if she's using ChatGPT. Um, I think I saw someone reference this. I want to be substantive with this. I want to actually have material to go off of. I do not want to attack her off of secondhand information. I do not like the song she uses in the background, especially the fact that she uses it in every video. Um, it's just kind of there is an air of performativeness here. She's speaking very very dramatically and very forefront, very intense. But the issue is that's not really coming along with something new. It's also I don't like seeing opinions that I disagree with so entirely expressed so dramatically and confidently, especially when it's something like this that I so completely disagree with as much as I do. So I think it's just getting on the nerves of a lot of people that there's like an air of like drama and like, look at her, she's like tearing the curtains down and she's exposing everything that's behind the scenes. But it's like, you know um, we knew all this stuff and that people thought it, and it's really just incorrect. So the music and the tone, it gets on the nerves a little bit, and I apologize again to Mina Dragonfruit here. It's not like, it's not like a character assassination like the end of the world. It's like, it's not a big deal, right? Like, it's my personal opinion. It's the emotion that does get evoked when I watch these, and I think I've seen that sentiment expressed a lot. Um, so, like, I kind of have to address it, but like, I really don't think it's that big a deal. It's also not it's hardly exclusive to her. But yes, it's really annoying. The videos are really annoying. I genuinely can't get through them. Um, Sick of that song, man. Oh, she doesn't have captions on this one, darn it. Yeah, you guys get it. Again, I totally agree with this one. I think that is a severe issue that men are going through. It's not like I haven't experienced that stuff and had to work through it, and it sucks a lot for men. Um, and this is part of a broader conversation. It was men in the past that set up the patriarchy, but it's clear that nobody actually benefits from it. Well, sorry. That's very imprecise of me to say. It's clear that it has severe drawbacks on either side. Clearly, there is one side, women, that are bearing the brunt of things. Um, but also, this is a serious problem among men, and especially among little boys. It's actually really a heartbreaking thing to think that 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 young boys are socialized this way near universally, and they grow up in a system that is very rife with abuse and teaches them to hide all of these things, in an attempt to make them what is seen as the pinnacle of being a man. So yeah, I agree with her on this one and what she's saying here. Um, as a girl that is feminist, finally someone talking about men's problems. This is my only issue with having these discussions is, um, I never ever want the conversation to be some kind of a comparison between men and women or between men and women's issues. Um, but yeah, I'm glad that she made this video and is expressing these thoughts to people. It also is sure it is nice to see a woman taking the time to address this problem, and be equitable. That's all cool. I would hate for any space to be taken away from the conversation about what women go through under a patriarchal society. But like I said, I agree with this. Um, Glad that you made this video. I hate that song in this context. That's perhaps the thing that's bothering me the most across all of these is that same piano song in the background. It feels very it's the song itself at this point feels pseudo intellectual. It's like you're using the song to create a dramatic tone, but it's like it undercuts that tone for you to be using the same song every single time, because I've gotten sick of it, and that specific song, she's hardly the only one who uses it for videos like these, um, and ugh, I don't like that song anymore. Well, I should say piece. It's just piano. It's not really a song. It's a piano piece. I don't like that piano piece anymore. Captions. So, being not a woman myself, I have an extremely limited perspective on this issue, and pretty much anything I'm about to say you can take with a grain of salt and fucking skip if you want. I will say I disagree very slightly, just based on like the specifics. I'd say a woman who doesn't drink, is good with children, reads, doesn't everything she listed was. I would say that's above average for anyone. you know. But of course, that's me, and she's talking about societal perception at large. And again, I can't speak to that. And saying like he's not the biggest green flag, he's the bare minimum. I would honestly say also a man who does all of those things, especially the doesn't drink thing, given how prevalent and normalized alcoholism is across the entire world for literally everyone. Um, not necessarily somebody who doesn't drink at all, because I don't want to demonize drinking, but somebody who has a healthy relationship to alcohol, like a consistently healthy relationship to alcohol. Somebody who doesn't drink excessively, somebody who doesn't black out. For anybody, for either gender, I would probably say that you know might probably actually is above average and worthy of praise. Um, so yeah, like I said, I'm really not gonna have too much to say on this. I'm not a woman. I don't know. I don't know about the pressure put on women. Like according to my own perceptions and biases, I would have to disagree slightly based on what I've said. But yeah, so I don't have a big issue with this one. I'm sure this is gonna, or has earned her not a small amount of hate from men, um, which is a shame. Yeah, again, man, with the piano, I can't deal with it. Um, so so yeah, I definitely disagree with everything she has to say about school. Um, I'm not sure if I'll end up disagreeing with much of what else she has to say, because I'm truly a little bit unwilling to scroll through all of these. Oh, hey, she addressed the script thing. Well, all right. I mean, yeah, she definitely is reading from a script. It's just like that's it's fine. I don't see why people are upset about that. It's things you wrote down. I don't. I suppose you can't tell just because I don't like showing my face, so I don't. I don't script any of these. That's because I'm lazy though. Too lazy to do that. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's the bulk of what I have to say. I don't know if I'm gonna go too much deeper than that. I think I've expressed my opinions on this one. Um, yeah, I really truly disagree so strongly with the stuff about school and about the way she went about expressing it, and I understand how that has caused her to be the center of a controversy. Um, I don't like people being mean to her. I don't think that needs to happen. Um, I was just trying to look through some of her other videos, see if I agreed or disagreed, and I pretty much agreed. So that's a good sign. Um, Based on what she has to say about the school system, there is surely other stuff here that I am not going to agree with. Um, but yeah, it's fine. Kind of curious about these ones. But yeah, I couldn't help but make a video about this because it has been circulating online a lot. I keep seeing a clip of her reading poetry, and then it cuts to somebody who's like, "Hey, fuck you, and you're stupid," blah blah blah. Um, I really can't fight. It is annoying that watching the videos. I get annoyed when I watch the videos. It's the piano and the dramatic tone. Um, it's also just like that's not like the end of the world either. She's I don't know how old she is. Like it's fucking 16. Like so she's being cringe. So she's cringy, and she's really abusing that one piano piece. It's like I really wish the internet at large would give more grace to things like that. I'm still not going to listen to it though. I'm not saying that. Sorry, I wasn't reading carefully enough. Yeah, I kind of disagree with this one too. Actually, um, I think a lot of people want to just be mean when they say all that stuff, and I think that's mostly the people she's arguing against. So I'm with her there. Fuck those people. But also the whole iPad kid thing. Some people, when they point that out, are pointing out what they perceive as a huge problem in the world that Gen Alpha is growing up in and the kinds of things they're being exposed to. And I think at large, this video is kind of minimizing it, or this poem is kind of minimizing it as a problem. I have no idea what an iPad skincare routine is, but I suppose there was the whole Sephora kid trend, and there's also the iPad kid thing, like the screen addict. That's a huge problem. The screen addiction. I'm not going to act like I'm immune to that myself. It is a problem for most everyone with a phone, because that's kind of the way phones are built. They're like social media algorithms. They're quite intentionally designed to suck you in. So I don't think there's not room to get mad at people who just want to dog on Gen Alpha and act as though it's Gen Alpha's fault. But I think the way to go about your disagreement with those people is not to minimize the problem and point out that not everybody fits that stereotype, because it's true that not all of Gen Alpha fits that stereotype. But also, the ones that do, well, I mean, well, what about the ones that do? Would Mina Dragonfruit just say fuck those kids? Like, yeah, no, you're right about those ones, but like, what about these guys who aren't iPad kids and who aren't addicted to their phones? But it's like, it's a huge problem that so many kids are being given the opportunity to become so phone addicted and nobody's doing anything about it. Like, they're just kids being thrust into a very unfair world that's really not being set up for them very well. So to just say that, oh no, well, not all of them, so I disagree with you, that's not, well, it's just not enough. That's not very substantive. So yeah, not a fan, not a fan of this one. I think this is kind of coming back to a lot of the stuff I had to say just now about the school video too. It's just, I think she's having a problem here with just being precise about the target of her critiques and like the direction in which he's going after pointing them out. It's true that when it is expressed as hate, it's completely unnecessary and stupid, and that is a good thing to argue against. But reading this, that's not precise. That's not what she specified that she is arguing against. Because I think it is. I think the whole iPad kid thing is a huge problem among Gen Alpha, and it's not nearly enough just to say that, well, not all of them are addicted to their screens. You need to stop being mean. That's not. We can't stop there. That's not enough to say on its own. I don't like that. And then they say, okay, and then this person's saying people always call me an iPad kid or baby, like, bitch, I'm 12, not 5. Firstly, what are you doing on YouTube Shorts? Get out of here. You're 12. You don't. Hush. Get off of YouTube. No 12-year-old should be on any social media. I fully agree with the age restrictions on social media. Also, like saying I'm 12, not 5. It's like, okay, so we're still saying that this is a problem. That I'm arguing against a 12-year-old's comment on a YouTube video right now. Um, I hope you guys get what I'm saying, though. So that one and the immigrant video, I do not know where she's from or her second language. Um, I thought she was American, just plain old American. Sorry, horrible phrasing. I thought she was like born in America, and because yeah, I couldn't like this person was saying, I couldn't hear an accent from anywhere else, but I definitely, hearing the immigrant video and this video, assume she is from a different country, moved here, and does speak another language. But yeah, I agree with this one as well. No problems with that, really. That'd be silly of me. And that's absolutely something I've noticed and talked about. So that's cool. I'm curious now, though, as to what her first language is. Because yeah, no idea. Um, this one's fun for me because Spanish is my second language, and well, for me, I speak from the perspective of a white person who was born and raised in America, learning a second language because I happen to live in an area that has a very high Hispanic population. So when I get made fun of for all these same things, that's fine, honestly. Like, I'm sure I've earned it. The other day I was in Walmart. I had to talk to an employee to ask where an item was. The employee nearest to me that I found happened to be a Spanish speaker, and I noticed that there were some issues in translation when I was speaking English. So I was like, "Oh, tú hablas español?" And she was like, "Sí." Um, and I was like, "Ah, bueno, ¿quieres que te diga en español?" And she was just like, "Ah, sí, está bien." And the item ended up being out of stock. And I wanted to say, ah, pues tendré que buscar en línea. But then I said en línea instead of línea, and man, did I hate myself that day. Anyways, so yeah, like I've been seeing again. She's been totally like everywhere lately, and and you can see if someone's American, American dude. What the heck? Um, yeah, I've been seeing her like everywhere lately. Every three reels that I scroll is Mina Dragonfruit related, and everyone's just totally hating on her, totally dogging on her. Um, like if all you see is the content being made about her, you definitely like you'd think she was stupid. But so that's why I wanted to make this video. Um, it's a shame that there's not more nuance on the internet. And yeah, there's not nothing to critique here. I've been pretty mean at several points uh, throughout this video. I feel like, um, but yeah, like people can definitely calm down. Like I'm sure this is obvious, but I hadn't actually watched all the way through any of her videos before making this video. I've been kind of figuring this out as I go. Um, so I didn't know. I didn't know if I was going to end up totally hating her and disagreeing with everything and making just a super mean video. But no, she's she's doing fine here, you know. Even when it comes to ooh, okay, that one that boils the blood. That got me just now. But I am happy to hear her say system. I'm happy to hear the phrase school system. It's just, if we are criticizing the school system, we need to be a lot more overarching than she was being, I think. Um, oh, this is pissing me off the more I look at it. So, what am I doing? So I think this is where the also the issues in tone are coming. Um, I don't think anybody likes being spoken to angrily if it's about a topic that they already agree with the person on. So maybe she's coming on people's feeds and they see her being very passionate, but that is expressing itself in the form of anger. And because of the nature of these videos, of course, she's not speaking to any one person specifically. She's not addressing anyone. But it's also like people see this and they see somebody being angry, but they're saying things that are, no offense, but if you're among the right people, at least, these are basic and universal things. The anger in which she's expressing these, would be very appropriate if she was talking to somebody who had just expressed complete disagreement with what she was saying. So I guess people online just probably don't like being spoken to in that tone right off the bat. I would guess that that's where a lot of the anger is coming from. It's a lot of it is probably a tone thing because, of course, I agree with this. But it's also like if I had the choice between somebody saying this to me super angrily with a piano piece that I now hate playing in the background, given that I already agree with it and I've already thought it, you know, I could do without that. I'll admit. Um, so yeah, not really. I'm not really fully defending it here because I think people are being pretty overly angry now that I've watched some of her videos. But I kind of it is annoying. I'm getting annoyed. It's just I think people are being pretty out there, pretty inappropriate with just how angry they're getting. I'm not getting angry here, but people definitely are out there online. Well, this one is too vague for me to say anything on. I can already tell. It completely depends on what exactly she's talking about here. There is very much so a such thing as being delusional. But it's also good to believe in yourself. But also, you just need to keep in mind, some things are simply extraneous circumstances and they'll never be in your control. Um, but I mean, this one's just kind of it's a big one. Boof. Yeah, I think I have said enough. I think I've made my video here. So I'm gonna close that tab. Um, yeah, like I've been saying, I really don't think it's a huge deal. I don't disagree with everything she has to say. I think it's fine. Um, I definitely disagree with some things. I definitely disagree with some things very, very strongly. Um, but yeah, people People ought to calm down, just in general. I definitely don't think she deserves to get attacked for this. I think it's really important that she hears an actual critique and an actual level-headed critique of especially the things she's saying about the school system. I really hope that that makes its way to her. Um, but none of us are going to get anywhere with the way I've seen people expressing their total hatred for her. But anyways, yeah, that's my video. Goodbye, y'all. Never mind. I remembered something that I had to say that I had forgotten. That was irking me, and it's important enough that I have decided that I do not want to leave it out of the video, and would rather go back and film this even after filming my outro. Um, Here's another thing that I've noticed that I think is an issue, which is simply that I think she's going by a way different definition of poetry than what is the convention. And I think people are definitely taking notice to that and are upset about it. Um, let's find the school videos to go off of that example. Oh, there's another one. This is pissing me off even worse with the whole school. You, if you don't know what it's like to be an adult, you can't speak on it. That's not the case with adults. They don't come home and everything's all hunky dory. That's not a universal thing. That might be the case for her parent. I would hope so, actually, because I do want people to be happy at the end of the day, and it's a good thing. But stop comparing children in school to adults in the workforce. It's worse for the adults. It is definitely worse. And yeah, we come home and well, not presentations. Don't do those at home, but huh? Okay, a lot of them do. That's not all of those happen. It is toxic and unhealthy and a burden. Yeah, but they well, of course they do. But I think she's agreeing with that because she's saying, but when kids do it. Oh man. Come on, dude. I'm running defense for you here. I'm on your PR team here. I oh my god, I disagree with this so very strongly. Don't forget they actually get paid. But like, okay, why are we attacking the adults here in question? Why is the critique being towards the working adults? They protest, complain, demand boundaries. Of course they do. Good. And then when kids do it, and we're saying, and we're coming back to the adults arguing against the kids being the problem. But yet, yes, it is a huge problem that all of these problems exist with the kids in the system. But her critique is coming back towards the adults arguing against kids saying that, and not simply the fact that it is the case. And like, why is she pitting school and work against one another when all of these improvements should be made to both of them? Also, why do children have to spend the same hours at school as parents do at work? Just think about it for 5 fucking seconds. It's probably at least partially because the adults are at work. You know, a lot of what school is also a huge daycare. But it's just sorry. I'm this is more than condescending of a tone than I should be having. I'm just really upset right now. Let me try. Let me try harder. Okay, deep breaths. It's just it's not a bad thing for kids to be getting an education, and I know she agrees with that, surely, but it's just the way she's expressing all of these opinions about the school system makes it sound as though she like doesn't think it's a good thing the education we're getting at all. And it's like what she should be saying is she should just be focusing on pointing out the improvements that can be made to the education we're getting. Like saying that it's ridiculous that we spend 7 hours in school and not two because what we're learning could be taught in 2 hours. Again, I disagree so strongly, but again, your answer to that should be, well, we need to be taught a wider breadth of information in that case. We need to be taught it in the right way. And we should actually use those 7 hours because, well, I mean, we're talking about school children here. What the fuck are they gonna do if not school? What do you want them to do with their time? You know, like if we go back, if we take this argument far enough, it would. It's just against society in general and the notion of school and work whatsoever. And I mean, if she wants to argue for that, if she wants to be whatever that ideology is called, like a naturalist or whatever, I don't know, but then then sure, let's have that discussion. I don't think I fully agree with that myself, but there is a genuine case to be made for the notion of going back to our natural roots and doing away with society. Again, I don't agree with it. I don't follow that ideology, but like at least if she does believe that, we could have a discussion about it. I don't think she does. I don't. I think I think if asked, from what I've been trying to gather here, I think if asked, she would simply say, no, there just need to be massive improvements made on how the system itself is run. But the way she's expressing these critiques is just not really actually communicating that. It's just, yeah, students often become distressed studying late at night, possibly killing themselves under pressure and call that normal for young people. It's just, I agree with this, but why are we why are we putting that statement in the context of comparing what we go through at school to what adults go through in the workplace? Obviously, this is a bad thing, but the conversation surrounding how bad of a thing this is should be should be centered on improving the school system and not pitting us against adults. And they get confused when teenagers say they hate their lives. I guess adults don't, but also like adults were all once teenagers and went through all of this. I feel like we also forget that. Um, forgot protest leader. Oh, hope not. So yeah, I just so this is a very emotional topic for me. I really, really, really disagree with everything that she is saying about the school system in the sense of how she's going about it. It's just there are major critiques to be made about the school system, and she very clearly is recognizing that and expressing that. But this is just like this is just not the way to do it. This isn't actually a critique of the system. This is a complaint about parents, basically. Um, and I kind of hate to see that. Why am I saying kinda? I really super hate to see that. Um, but yeah, okay, I got sidetracked talking about my disagreements with her thoughts on the school system again. What I was trying to say is I think she's definitely just going off of a really huge, like way different definition of what poetry is. Because if we're being totally honest, aside from the fact that she is willing to script it beforehand and not be lazy, and also the music and captions edited in, the things she's doing here aren't terribly different than what I do, you know? And I wouldn't really consider myself a poet, nor any of my videos poetry. It's just like there's zero coherent rhyme scheme or consistent syllable count. I wonder how these would even be written out. You know, it kind of reads that it would just be a big block of text. Um, Here's the thing: I don't think that denigrates what she's doing here. I am truly just disagreeing with the label. You know, like it sounds more as though it would be just a book of her thoughts on things. And like again, that's literally what I do. Like I also make videos. I just do it for, I just happen to do it for longer at a time, and I can't be bothered to write it out beforehand and be intentional with it. But like, see, I think that's also just been a thing that's happening online as well, as people just really hard disagreeing with the poetry label. Um, and the thing is that poetry by its nature is quite subjective. I don't think there's any fixed definition on what poetry is and isn't. I have an entire video talking about the question of what is art, so I'm not going to rehash it here. But if you're willing to go and watch that video, everything I have to say about art in general, poetry is a type of art. So everything I have to say about art in general applies perfectly well to poetry. And yeah, I definitely don't think you can put a universal definition on it. And I don't think any two people will have the truly exact same definition or consider all of the same things art or not art. Even if a lot of people go by very very similar metrics. And there are like accepted definitions, things that were like, yeah, this is definitely poetry. The waters only get muddied when it's things like these, things that go much more non-conventional routes. Um, specifically these videos as an example, I wouldn't personally designate them as poetry. I don't think that denigrates them. I don't think that devalues any of her videos. It's truly just a disagreement on the label. Um, and me personally, I think that's kind of whatever. Like she has chosen to call it poetry and call herself a poet, and like, I just got to deal with that. I'm not going to do nothing about that. But yeah, I have also seen that one in the videos attacking her. People are not happy about the designation of her videos as poetry. Um, and yeah, I I also wouldn't call it that myself, but I'm not like, not gonna go super hard on it. But yeah. Okay. Now that I've got that out of the way, and I've also said that piece, now I'm done. Now I've made my video about Mina Dragonfruit. Um, I just like I'm gonna need a moment to move on from my anger about the school stuff. I really do so strongly disagree with a lot of the stuff she said and the nature of the things she was saying. Um, but yeah, doesn't mean I'm on the side of the school system, especially not as it exists now. I'm definitely not. It's just there is a way to go about critiquing it, um, and it is certainly possible that your critiques will fall flat and end up being more so against people who are also victims of a predatory system, who you are falsely seeing as not even just perpetrating it, but like being somehow like responsible for it or something. It's just, yeah, that one sounds messy. Okay, I'm done. Goodbye for real this time.